Hey friends, Mike and Jess here.
And welcome to Regeneration Nation TV. Today we are reacting to an introduction to Parliament. This is from UK Parliament. I am excited about this. This is another thing of another part of the world that I don't know much about at all. So
I was gonna say we're learning here. This is a learning channel.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically political experts at this point, so we're just furthering our education, and pretty soon we'll have a master's degree in all things politics. And
we will
everything around the world.
It's called a master's in BS.
Yeah. We're on our way to becoming the smartest people in the world by all of these videos you guys send us. So we appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, an introduction to Parliament. We're about to become experts at all things the UK Parliament, I guess, you know. So we've got the link to this original video down below.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, let's get into this.
Let's do it.
Healthcare, education, the environment, international aid, crime. Issues affecting all our lives are shaped and driven by Parliament. But how did it all begin? What does Parliament do all day, and how do you fit in? Parliament has evolved throughout its long history to become what it is today, changing over time to meet the needs of the people. Two key historical events began this process. In 1215, King John put his seal on Magna Carta and agreed to a list of 63 rules set out by a group of barons. This ensured for the first time that no one, not even the king, was above the law. 50 years later, Simon de Montfort, for the first time, invited representatives of the towns and shires to his 1265 Parliament. These events established the foundations for the representative democracy we have today, and from this point onwards, the power to make decisions for the nation passed, over time, from the monarch to Parliament. Let's take...
What do you mean? The US didn't invent democracy? Okay. What are you talking about here?
You were just starting.
I'm a political expert, and that's what I was taught growing up. This is rubbish. I shouldn't have to say it, but I am joking.
This is satire, you guys. Satire.
Satire. Yeah.
Oh my.
That's very cool though. That's it's crazy to watch some of these videos and then you hear a date, 1265.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, wow.
Yeah.
It's a long ass time ago.
Very long.
Make decisions for the nation passed, over time, from the monarch to Parliament. Let's take a closer look at the UK Parliament today. Parliament is made up of three.
This music's too damn good.
Yeah, I know.
I'm getting into it. I'm wanting to bob my head like we're in a music reaction.
It is. It's
and I can't focus.
But it's making me
just-
focus. I think it's doing the opposite. Like it's making me more
My last
entertained.
pause.
Parliament is made up of three parts: the House of Commons, the House of Lords, and the monarch. The House of Commons is the elected chamber of Parliament. It debates big issues, proposes laws, amends existing ones, and challenges the government's work. There are 650 members of Parliament, or MPs, who each represent a constituency in the UK. They belong to either a political party or are independent, and are elected by constituents of the area they want to represent. The leader of the party that has the most MPs elected after a general election becomes the Prime Minister and heads up the government. They choose a cabinet made up of 20 senior ministers, who coordinate each government department's work. Parties not in power are called the opposition. MPs from the opposition and government question the government on policy and proposed laws. The Speaker keeps the House in order by chairing these debates. The House of Lords is the second chamber and shares the making and shaping of laws with the House of Commons. It has around 800 members, and it's made up mostly of life peers, and also includes hereditary peers and bishops. Lords are selected for their knowledge and experience, and hold government to account by using their expertise to look at laws and issues in detail. The monarch's role is mainly ceremonial.
Hold on, before we get on, to be part of the House of Lords just sounds like such a cool thing.
It
dude.
really does.
If I'm part of the House of Lords, I'm like looking in the mirror every day like, you're such a badass. You are a lord, and you are part of the House of Lords.
It is. This is so.
That's just a cool name.
It is so cool.
Such a cool name.
It is, yeah.
I
feel like a nerd, but
I'm a senator in my local town. Yeah. It's like, yeah, but you're not in the House of Lords.
Yeah, you're not in the House of
Lords.
Lords.
You're no Lord, son. Okay. Move on.
To look at laws and issues in detail. The monarch's role is mainly ceremonial. They meet the Prime Minister once a week to hear what's going on in Parliament and formally agree every new law. But that's not all. There are also people working behind the scenes who support the work of Parliament. Clerks, librarians, researchers and many more. The government has been elected to run the country, and Parliament holds the government to account for us, the public. But how? Prime Minister's questions and ministerial questions give MPs and Lords the opportunity to challenge the government's policies. It's in these debates that they can share the views of their constituents and the public and how new policies may affect them. Another important way Parliament can scrutinise or look in detail at the work of government is through select committees. Select committees analyse and scrutinise policy. They're made up of either MPs, Lords, or a mixture of both. Together, committee members look at a particular subject and make recommendations on improvements. Witnesses with expertise in the area under scrutiny are called to give evidence, which is used to help shape the committee's inquiry. Members of the public, like you, with a view on the subject can also give evidence for consideration. At the end of an inquiry, a committee writes a report with recommendations that the government usually responds to within 60 days.
You know, all of this stuff would have bored me immensely 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is like normal, but as I get older, I get more and more and more interested in politics, not just as a bystander, but like thoughts of like, I want to get involved.
Yeah.
Like when he was talking about they come together and debate and everything, I'm like, that would be so fun.
You are
that would be so fun.
Definitely a master debater for sure.
What did you just call me?
No, I really do feel like this is up your alley. I feel like you are definitely an advocate. You're definitely somebody who likes to challenge ideas for the greater good. You're not just in there just trying to argue something just to argue. You're literally trying to make a point to move forward in a positive way. And I feel like this is such a good concept of different committees and different, like the fact that their parliament is there protecting the public from the government's choices, like there to whoa, what are you guys doing, kind of like regroup and figure out why they're doing that and explaining it. I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, I'd fit right in the House of Lords. Just saying, if you guys need an outside perspective, maybe, you know, let's just say that.
Yeah,
I'm your guy. Both houses in Parliament share responsibility for making and shaping laws. But where do laws come from in the first place? A bill is a proposal for a new law, or to change an existing law, and comes from lots of places, like governing and opposition parties, public inquiries, civil servants, or campaign groups. So how does an idea get turned into a law? Imagine the government wanted to place greater controls over the internet. A proposal called a Green Paper is published, which presents the government's ideas for future policy. This is open for public discussion, with interested groups like internet service providers and others likely to be affected. Once findings are gathered, a white paper is published, which outlines a firmer plan for government policy. Cabinet ministers must agree whether the proposal is taken forward. Once agreed, a bill is drawn up, and the minister responsible for the policy introduces the bill to Parliament for debate. MPs and members of the House of Lords comment on, debate, or amend the bill through several stages, and at the end of the process, apart from very rare circumstances, it must be agreed by both houses. It's then passed to the monarch, who gives formal approval, or royal assent, and the bill becomes law, called an Act of Parliament. In the UK, we live in a democracy, which means power is in the hands of the people through our right to vote. Throughout history, lots of people in the UK have campaigned for the voting rights we have today. There are lots of different types of elections to vote in: general, local, European. Let's take a closer look at how MPs are elected to the House of Commons through the general election. General elections take place in the UK usually once every 5 years, and every seat is up for grabs. On polling day, voters make a choice from a list of candidates. The candidate with the most votes then becomes that constituency's MP. Okay, but how would I know who to vote for? Before elections, candidates need to campaign to get people to vote for them. Campaigning can involve handing out political leaflets, speaking in public debates, talking to people during door-to-door visits, and party political broadcasts. Parties standing for election publish a declaration of their policies during the campaign, called a manifesto. Once elected, an MP represents all their constituents, even the ones that didn't vote or voted for a different candidate. The party with the most MPs elected forms the government, and their leader becomes Prime Minister. And if there's a hung parliament, where there's no clear winner, then a minority government or a coalition government may be created, or a fresh election held.
See, all of this stuff is just like, it reminds me of being in school and you had those kids that were making up the student council and things like that, and I was so far removed from those things. First of all, I was a troubled child in school, so I probably wouldn't have been able to participate regardless. So maybe I just convinced myself that I didn't want anything to do with that kind of stuff. Right. Like, I don't want to be a part of it anyways. But yeah, like now that I'm an adult, all of this stuff sounds so interesting, and it makes me want to get more involved. You know, like I want to have a hand in the pot.
When we're growing up, though, especially when you start going into high school and graduating and stuff like that, there's a lot of sayings that are out there that are very encouraging for when you step out into the real world, and a lot of them are kind of along the lines of be the change you want to see in the world. And that's one that stuck with me the whole time. Like, as I got older, like things that you want to see different, I'm like, you know, you can be that start, you know. And
sitting around complaining about how things are only does so much. But getting in there, getting in the mix, it definitely interests me now in my older age. I say older.
I'll say you're not
sparingly.
that old.
Okay.
You're not that.
The way to have a say in how the country is run is to use your vote. You have to be 18 or over to vote in general elections, but you can register from the age of 16. There are lots of other ways to get involved and have your voice heard, whatever your age. Remember, MPs represent all of their constituents. But how? You can visit an MP in their local constituency office, or you can even travel to the Houses of Parliament to lobby them in Central Lobby. Lords have knowledge and experience in specific subject areas. You can look them up by policy interest on the Parliament website. Anyone can contact any Lord or their local MP by letter, phone or email to discuss an issue that's important to them or their community. Sometimes, though, there's strength in numbers, so to get your voice heard, you could join the youth section of a party or the UK Youth Parliament. If you're passionate about an issue, you could start a petition for a cause either on paper or online, or join an existing campaign, pressure or protest group to influence decision making. These groups use different methods to get their voices heard, from lobbying to peaceful protest, all designed to bring about change. And don't forget, you can get your voice heard in school or college too by joining or starting a student council, a bit like a mini parliament.
That's really cool.
So
I've actually reached out to our local mayor on Facebook, and she responded.
Which is so cool.
I had a little discourse with her, so that was very cool. So yeah, it kind of works the same way here. Our local mayor in our town is approachable. It said like on Facebook when you go to message them, it's like usually responds within a day. And it was just a few hours later she had responded back to me, and it was very cool.
Super cool. That's awesome.
A bit like a mini parliament. So, Parliament sits at the heart of UK democracy, debating the big issues of the day, making and shaping laws, and holding the government to account. By voting, petitioning, campaigning and more, you can also get involved with the work of Parliament. What will you do?
That was very cool. I enjoyed that video a lot more than I thought I would. And it really got me thinking about things. It really got me thinking about, you know, what I would like to do in the future. I've thought about it a lot, you know, as a person who was lost, very lost, had a rough time in school, and then getting out of school, and then ended up becoming a homeschool teacher of my own sons. I always thought about like what I would do once they don't need me anymore. And I'm like, man, I would like to get into being part of change, you know, being a guidance counselor or something to do with politics, like even if it's just local politics.
Yeah.
Just having some type of hand in the change, especially with the younger generation, just molding. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of just different things go through my mind when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah,
but this video really got me thinking about it more.
It did. It definitely does, and there's difference. You can see the similarities in our government and in Parliament, but you can see that there's ways that you can change. Like it to me in my brain, especially when I was growing up, it's like that seems like such a huge thing. But when you realize that you can reach out to certain lawmakers or people that are more influential than you are, it's easier to reach out to them than you think. It's really awesome when you can band together with other people, not only, and then just kind of like make a change, especially with something that you're passionate about. Like you could possibly be the fire starter for that.
Yeah.
That's very exciting, actually. Something to push forward and being positive.
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot more than I realized that I would, honestly, going in. I was like, But as soon as it started, it was just like, oh, this is actually really, I don't know. Like I said, as I get older, it's like these things are more my jam when I'm thinking about things as I'm sitting by myself editing our videos or stuff. It's stuff along these lines of like, how can I really make an impact?
Yeah.
And I think politics when you're younger just it's just like a weird thing. Like even as a kid, it's like, should I be thinking about politics?
Yeah.
But
when you think of politics on the side that I'm thinking of, as soon as you say politics, I think of corruption and just not knowing who to trust.
We've been growing up, because I was 13 years old when 9/11 happened, and then this whole thing about Bush, being corrupt, and it's like ever since we were kids, we came up in a really weird time to where politics here in America, especially, it's like it almost feels like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Do we really have a say in things? But as I get older, I see things more, I read things, and I think about things a lot, and I would like to have a say.
Yeah.
Like I want to be in the mix of trying to make a change, at least.
Yeah. I think that's a beautiful thing too, especially just to spark that. Because you can be part of a change.
Watching these videos are very informative, and they really get your brain thinking. So thank you to everybody who recommended this and any other videos along these lines. If you have any other videos along these lines you want to see us react to, leave them down below.
Yes, please.
Thanks for watching with us. And be the change you want to see in the world.
Love that.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye, friends.
Peace.
I'm not scared of your love.